Thank you so much, Sister Mary Ellen and Stephen. How's my green class doing? You are just amazing, and I'm looking at this beautiful lawn full of so much love for you. Isn't this a great day? Now, each year at commencement, it's customary for the president to reflect on the state of the university and the state of the world into which our graduates are marching with great boldness and courage. I am pleased to offer a brief summary of both. For Trinity, the state of our university is exceptional. Our latest graduates in this marvelous class of 2014 exemplify our highest ideals and reflect the hard, devoted work of our faculty and staff. In just the last year, we have seen remarkable faculty scholarship as numerous faculty published books, made presentations nationally and internationally, sharing Trinity's intellectual life broadly. Students have engaged in creative undergraduate and graduate research, pursued internships and clinical opportunities in an amazing range of local organizations. At the same time, students, faculty, and staff have devoted thousands of hours of service time to the community locally and nationally, from Selma, Alabama to Southeast DC, in all cases sharing the best of Trinity with communities of great need. At this commencement, we are very pleased to welcome the very first class of graduates in our Occupational Therapy Assistant Program. Where are they? Our new OTAs. Congratulations. I am pleased to announce today that in the fall of 2014, among the hundreds of new students whom Trinity will welcome, more than 30 will be Dreamers, chosen through a new national scholarship program. This program, funded by a group of remarkable benefactors, led by Donald Graham, seeks to ensure that young people whose educational options have been limited through no fault of their own because of their immigrant status will be able to pursue a higher education. Trinity is proud to be among the first private college partners in the Dream U.S. Scholarship Fund. Today, we honor Chancellor Kaya Henderson, a great Trinity friend, about whom we will have much more to say in a moment. But I'd like Chancellor Henderson to see how many graduates of the DC public schools and charter schools are about to receive Trinity degrees. Would all of the graduates of the DC public schools and charter schools please stand who are about to receive degrees? You are such a credit to the hard work of our local schools. Congratulations. Just 2 weeks from now, we will gather across this lawn by the side of the library to break ground for the most ambitious project in Trinity's history, at least since the building of Main Hall, the new Trinity Academic Center that will be our first new academic building in more than half a century. Yes, the graduates are sorry that they're leaving, but you can come back for another degree to enjoy it. This new building will create new science laboratories, new health and nursing laboratories, new spaces for simulations and demonstrations for counseling and psychology and teacher education, and most important, modern new classrooms with the latest technologies for all disciplines. The Trinity Academic Center, made possible through the extraordinary generosity of Trinity alumni and friends, signifies the durability and worth of Trinity's mission far into the 21st century, and will stand as a vital new intellectual asset, not only for Trinity, but also for the District of Columbia. Now, I look back on my 25 years as Trinity's president with pride in the profound work for social change that the Trinity community has sustained across the generations. But today, there is an overweening emphasis in the popular media on lists and measurements of education, as if all we're supposed to do is produce workers to replace cogs in wheels, factories for compliant employees in the corporate maw. That is not the purpose of a higher education. We measure the worth of this mission by the scope and impact of our graduates on the lives they touch and transform, the classrooms and communities they inspire, the bodies and minds they heal and comfort, the public policies they shape for the good of the city and nation, the justice they demand and achieve for those who have suffered marginalization, the strength and persistence of their voices raised on behalf of those who have no voice, the hope they are able to bring to children and families who have never known a day without fear, hunger, or violence. If our graduates fulfill these true purposes of our mission, they will certainly be well employed and economically secure, but vastly more important, they will be morally right and spiritually fulfilled throughout their lives. Now, across the arc of history, too many people have sacrificed too much for this and subsequent generations ever to take education for granted, or to treat the right to an education, especially a higher education, as something small and only of utilitarian value. 60 years ago on this very day, the Supreme Court of the United States issued the most important civil rights opinion in its history, ruling in favor of equality of educational opportunity in Brown versus Board of Education. The court, yes, 60 years ago today, we must pause and acknowledge the moment. The court back then understood that if we could achieve justice in education, this nation would have a far better chance to achieve justice in all of American life. But one court opinion was hardly enough. 50 years ago this year, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. stood alongside President Lyndon Johnson for the signing of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, one of the greatest pieces of legislation of the 20th century. But one national law also has not been enough. Our nation remains perplexed, at times obtuse, almost always in turmoil over issues of civil rights and racial justice. And equality of educational opportunity remains an elusive dream for too many people in this nation, particularly for too many children of color who still suffer educational deprivations in classrooms that are segregated in fact by race and social class, where low-income Black and Hispanic children incur harsher punishments and have access to fewer educational resources than other children. Consequently, the achievement gap between white children and children of color remains large, an unyielding, ugly slash of shame across America's promise of equal educational opportunity. More than half a century beyond Brown and the Civil Rights Act, our nation continues to struggle with cruel injustices of unequal schools and the protracted poverty that educational injustice fosters through the consequent lifelong diminishment of educational opportunity. Today, we look in horror at the plight of nearly 300 schoolgirls kidnapped by religious zealots in Nigeria, and we pray for their safe return. And yes, the United States can and should do more to ensure that result swiftly. But let's not kid ourselves. The horror of educational oppression is not just something half a world away. We cannot and we must not turn a blind eye to the deprivation and the denial of educational opportunity that girls and boys suffer every day in our own nation. We have on the stage this morning one of the courageous heroes of educational justice in our time, Chancellor Kaya Henderson, a leader who is not afraid to confront the conditions that foster educational injustice in our local schools, and she works tirelessly to find solutions to those challenges. Today on this lawn, we award degrees to hundreds of new Trinity alumnae and alumni. These women and men are, in so many ways, exemplars of Trinity's mission in social and economic justice. Trinity was founded by a small group of visionary religious women who believed deeply in women's right to attain the highest educational levels possible. They faced great opposition in 1897, preventing girls and women from achieving at the highest educational levels. Misusing religion as a basis for keeping girls out of school, that's an old and familiar problem, and one that parallels the stunting of educational opportunity for Black and Hispanic students who still suffer from great marginalization. But a century ago, the Sisters of Notre Dame showed us how to use the power of their faith, their fortitude, and their sheer courage to blow past the opposition. And guess what? They won. They won. They founded Trinity as a college that, from the start, stood for educational and opportunity and justice for those who were once barred from learning. And 117 years later, their heirs and beneficiaries of this great mission now claim their degrees. You, Trinity's class of 2014, you are the latest exemplars of the courage and wisdom of our founders. But your degrees today come with this price. So many people sacrificed and contributed so much over the last century so that you could celebrate your achievement today. You will pay them back by paying it forward through the work that you do each day to advance the cause of justice for others, to serve the greatest needs of our community, to take up the promise of equal educational opportunity and make it truly a reality for your children and their children. You will do this as so many Trinity alumni and alumni have done before you, because you will go forth from this commencement inspired and empowered with the values of Trinity. May you go with the strength to persist in this mission through even the most challenging days. May you experience the wisdom necessary to know how to act for justice in ways that are truly effective. May you always know the light and love of the Trinity community, with Trinity friends as your constant companions, and the knowledge that wherever you are in this world, Trinity carries you in her great heart through all the days of your lives. Congratulations, class of 2014.